In this episode of Drives with Dobie, I'll show you why the BMW E53 X5 is a modern classic and is worth a look. But before we do, let's check some sights and sounds of the car. Did you hear that? It sounds like a vault in here. Let me do that again. Check out how the locks sound. Let me show you how the turn signals sound. Did the X5 pave the way for future performance SUVs? I think so. And here's why the E53 X5, the original, is going to be a future classic. Let's talk about the exterior. It has a classic BMW angel eyes, and of course, a normal size kidney grille. As we all know, the grills have grown significantly on the modern BMWs. So I think it makes this design even more elegant as time goes on. And this color is sterling gray. The car does have a sport package on it. The 4.8 and the 4.6 IS had the body matching bumpers, but the 3-liter didn't. Because it has a sport package, it has the sport rim. These are 18s. It doesn't fill out the arch as much, but I think it looks really elegant and it rides really well because it has the thicker sidewall. So let's go over the side profile. It has this really cool design line that goes all the way around the back, kind of matches where the door handles are. And the sport package gave you the blacked out window trim. Of course, you get the traditional Hofmeister kink here. The mirrors are auto folding, but over the 20 years, the motors have been replaced once on each side, which isn't bad, but it's about $500 to $600. Moving around back, you have that line that started out from the side all the way to the back. You have the traditional BMW L-shape taillights, and the rear looks really squat. You have this little body panel jutting out, so it makes the car look really sporty. Again, this had the sport package. It has the traditional black bumper and the blacked out tailpipes pointing down. I think if you didn't have that, you got the silver ones that kind of pointed out. Another great design feature is the split rear tailgate. I love this design feature. Oh, Luna wants to get out and run around. You got this button over here that kind of allowed the tailgate to open. It does support a good amount of weight. No, don't get out. And another cool thing is that over here they had buttons on this side to allow the rear seat, only the back part to kind of move back and forth slightly. So that was like an interesting little feature over here. So with that, let's hit the road. Today we're gonna go to Dumbo to this coffee place called Arabica. It has amazing coffee. And let me tell you a bit more about the car. Watch out. Let's talk about the steering feel. First of all, over 20 years of use has made this leather really soft. So the steering wheel is actually quite a pleasure to hold. It's really smooth, it's shiny, it's soft. This is a hydraulic rack. The feel through the steering wheel is really great. You do have to muscle the steering wheel a little bit, but you get used to it. Compared to modern day cars, this is really a pleasure to actually drive. It really gives you the solid feeling that this car actually exudes, whether that's in the interior or the exterior. So let's talk about the transmission. Again, really smooth leather, wood. hefty gear compared to today's vehicles, which might have a button or no button at all, or on screen, or whatever the case is. But here you can just flick it into sport mode, and it feels that click even feels really good. There's travel to it, so again, it feels like you're doing something. And in sport mode, it holds gears quite well. And of course, BMW did this correctly, where your upshift happens when you actually click down, and then if you want to downshift, you actually click up, which is, again, the best way of doing it. I think the PDKs also do it this way. And so the engine itself, when you do rev it out, sounds quite nice. I can't do it here. There's a bit of traffic. When there is more open road, I'll show you. So right now I'm in drive, but if I put it into sport, so you can see it clicks down really quickly, and the throttle becomes really responsive. You know, you do get that acceleration. It's quite nice. It feels great. The connection through your foot to the engine is really, really nice. And of course, you can put it into manual mode. I'm in fourth gear. Again, 225 horsepower. You really have to wind it out, but it feels, again, great. So I'm going to shift down, or rather up. I do wish it had 6 gears, but again, this is still a great experience for this car. So if I downshift, again, so you can see the engine. So you can see even at higher RPMs, it moves. The engine sounds amazing. Let's put it back into drive, and we don't want to get a speeding ticket. Interior of this car is pretty stark, but because it's put together really well, there's no squeaks or rattles. I can't really get the car to actually squeak. There are some squeaks and rattles in the door pockets, but because I think that's due to general maintenance. I think the mirror motor has been replaced, so they had to open it up, and maybe it wasn't really put together as securely. But other than that, the bones of the car, if you will, are really solid, including the interior. The only thing that's been replaced is this head unit, but it looks very stock. The original head unit was just a CD player with like a wood trim up top, but the owner replaced it with this, and it looks like the factory unit that you got with this car when it was new. And the owner kind of did that on purpose to kind of maintain the aesthetic. So this has Apple CarPlay and kind of the benefits that come along with that. The ride is very compliant. The experience isn't jarring. The way the suspension has been calibrated so it's comfortable yet sporty is really great. Even on turns when you're driving very quickly and you're taking a hard corner, the car does lean, but then it settles. And of course, the steering wheel is a hydraulic rack. It communicates really well, and you can kind of place the car the way you want. Again, this isn't an M3, but BMW, when designing this car, took a lot of inspiration from the then 5 Series, the 530. And This really, from the articles, from the older articles, this is like 85% of the 5 Series back in the day in terms of driving dynamics. And for a future classic, I think this car is amazing. It really does lack the sophistication, or the complexity, I should say, of cars beyond this era, especially when they got the iDrive. So repairability is quite good in this car. The car has lasted 20 years. It's in amazing shape. And it drives as good as any modern car. It drives heavy, of course, you feel everything. But the way it handles, the way it makes you feel without having like 700 horsepower or anything like that, it does make the best of the 225 horsepower it has. It doesn't feel lacking. Of course, it's not as fast as even a Toyota Camry today, but the feel is really what you're looking for, right? So it makes you feel very special. I think in another 10 years, 15 years, I think the values are going to go up in these. If you're going to get a car like this, it's also good to know a good mechanic that can fix these. Fortunately, these kinds of cars, compared to modern cars, are relatively simple. And BMW still makes original parts for these. And especially the i6 is really reliable. Unlike the 4.6 IS and the 4.8 IS and even the 4.4, the V8s basically, the 6-cylinder is really reliable. And this doesn't have the cult following yet of like something like a Porsche Cayenne that's gained a lot of attention from the overlanding community. Of course, the Defenders and the G-Wagons and the Land Cruisers and the variations of those have always had the attention of the overlanding community. I don't think this is going to, because it doesn't have the off-road capability of those cars. So would this be a fun weekend car or just an old car? I think neither. I think this is a daily classic, something you get in and you use every day. This has understated written all over it. It doesn't stand out like the other cars, but if you're going for something minimal, something that still sounds amazing, drives way better than the other cars that I just mentioned, this is it. So, as you can see, that the E53 definitely has the potential to become an understated classic. Now, this might not have the clout of a G-Wagon or the cult of a Defender or even the Land Cruiser. So with that, I hope Luna and I see you on the next episode of Drives with Dobie. See ya. All right, let's go. This way, this way, this way. Luna, let's go.